there's a real opening here, not to give way on any of our principles, of course not, but to engage Russia around a practical set of issues where we can cooperate with them to our mutual benefit. Let me give you an example. I wrote a book called Partners in Space. It was, I amassed a large number of scholars and researchers, and we put together what I'd like to think is the definitive study of U.S. Russian cooperation in space after the Cold War. And we chose that because it was a success story. Everybody's talking about all the negative things. We thought, well, it might be instructive to see what works. And I think we can still say that even though nothing about any complicated project goes without a hitch, it's been a spectacularly successful interaction. And when the United States didn't have a shuttle to take men and women back and forth to the International Space Station, the Russians provided that transportation. You know, we would not have a full and operating space station were it not for the fact that we were in partnership with the Russians. And we learned a great deal from an engineering point of view, from a conceptual point of view about long-duration spaceflight. There are many, many other areas where we can actually learn something from each other. And through this engagement, as we saw during the Cold War, through this positive interaction, people change and situations improve.
Yeah. And that actually brings one back, perhaps finally, to the important point you made about just the sheer common sense of cooperation with Russia on energy security.
Right.
On to whatever we call our activity in the area of international terrorism. Russia, of course, is very much concerned with what one scholar, I think
Right.
Bob Legwall, called its soft underbelly
Right.
to the south and so on. So that it's just that the opportunities for engagement as opposed to confrontation seem self-evident and sensible. But,
well, they do seem self-evident and sensible, and they are from a long-term strategic standpoint. Just as people don't have to get used to anything, people also have choices, even when they're in a tight spot. And we want Russia to be making choices that are favorable towards cooperation with the United States and the West.
yeah.
And to do that, that takes a kind of commitment to interaction. And I'm afraid it does take, on both sides, some capacity to see the situation from the other side's point of view. Now we're going to have this opening, this political opening, and it will be a tragedy for my children and grandchildren if we don't seize that opportunity and begin to chart a new course. And the way to do that, first of all, is to start with the rhetoric. And that means on both sides. This has been a disaster, actually, of ever-escalating, insults and that type of thing. We've got to see this as a new chapter.